Do you desire greatness? Do you desire to inspire your team? This is the video for you. We're going to show you the basics of the commander mode and how to help your team be the best team that they can be. So to get started, you will need to volunteer for the commander role. And then we're going to look at the map. And the first thing I'm going to do is break down the objectives, because you need to understand the map is a little bit different now. The supply points that used to regenerate no longer regenerate. Supplies don't instantly regenerate. So taking care of your supplies is a lot more important now. So to set objectives, you have to go to the combat table, combat support. So that's why I'm entering this table, but I'm going to break down the supply points now. So these are the new supply points. All of the docks, all of the piers, those regenerate supplies. These green ones, these are the old supply points. Those are single use. They do not come back. These are the ones that come back, the ones that you can actually capture as bases. So these are what you want to control. Without these, your team can't spawn. You're pretty much not going to be able to do anything. You know, the objectives are important. You need those to win. But you also need some of these supply points to win, or you're not going to be able to do anything. Now, you can still get supplies from them, even if you don't control them. But when you control them, they will add a passive boost to the supplies that are generated across all of your bases, which is not very much, but it's better than nothing, so it does help, and then you don't have to retrieve the supplies. So first, let's break down the combat table. This is how you set objectives for all your team. This is how you get your team to do what you want them to do. You can try and tell everybody what to do, but you know, sometimes people don't want to listen. The best way, personally, I think, and that's what this is for, is you can set an objective and tell people what you want them to do. You can say, hey, go here. Like, I can set an objective to attack this pier for people to take it. And also the squads that are related to taking objectives will see this. So I don't know if Recon sees it, but Assault, Anti-Tank, and Special Forces Assault, and I think one other squad, they'll see the Assault objectives. So they'll focus on seizing objectives. And they'll get XP for that. And you can tell them, hey, you know, you get some bonus XP, you get some weapons, you know, if you rank up faster, if you go to this objective. And then you can try to avoid putting objectives in places where you don't want people to mess around with, you know, to try and help corral your forces. Next thing you can do is you can set where you want bases to be built. I'm gonna pull that up here in just a moment. There's a lot of different commands you can do. You don't even have to do just a base. You know, if you want people to attack a specific point, because there's a roadblock, you can go into that commander wheel and you can set an attack point for your team. And when you set those objectives, you can also, instead of just creating the objective, if you have squads on your team, on the bottom of that wheel there, it will show a squad. If there's a squad that you can assign to that objective related to it, they'll pop up there before you assign it. So we're going to place a base point where we want somebody to build a base. You'll notice this turns red when we get too close to that. That's because that's already a base. You can't build a base on another base. So those supply points, even though they don't really have anything on them, they're just supplies, you can't build a base on them. That's why they're really important to control. You do want to build a couple bases around them, and then you leech supplies from them, and you move those supplies out to the front line, more or less. So we're going to look for a good spot to place a base here. This is probably our first base. We're going to place it close as we can. You can see right there, maybe. Boom. Now the engineer and the transport squads can see that, and you can also build the base there with the construction truck. Now if you're playing in a squad and your team doesn't have a commander, don't freak out. an AI bot fills in for the commander role for you. He's not actually walking around, but you can request, if you're an engineer or transport or logistics team, you can actually go on the map and you can put down a point just like this, how I'm doing, and you can request for a base to be built somewhere. And then after 3 or 4 seconds, the bot on the commander on your team, the AI commander, will approve that request, and then you can drive a truck over there and you can build a base. So even if you don't have a commander, you can still do things without a commander. You can set objectives for your squad, you know, so you get bonus XP. You could give the recon squad something to do. Like, we're going to go up here and we're going to place a bunch of recon points. And basically the way these work is they have to hang out in that area for a specific amount of time, and then it completes the objective and they get a little bit of bonus XP just for being over there, which normally, you know, you wouldn't get. So, I mean, I try to tell like the recon squads to put down a marker to tell me what I always want to know is if a location's not revealed, because, you know, a lot of people like to do this. They go all the way in the back lines. This gives them something to do and tries to help them communicate with the team. You know, try and tell them, hey, recon squads, mark down if a point is controlled by the enemy or not. You know, you can get an idea of how established they are in an area. And then I always like to know how many bots are at a location and where, you know, where you're seeing them. So like you'll see squads of bots, and I'll say like put down a little exclamation point with a number, you know, and then put down a color for the team. So if you're playing on Russian team, you know, put down blue markers for USA forces and red forces for Russian forces. You know, if you're on USA team, green markers for FIA, such and such. That gives your team a heads up of where everything's going. It lets you know where to focus your team's efforts. And you can also tell them to do things like, you know, we got AP mines. If you're high rank and you can buy an ammo bag, buy an ammo bag for them. Buy an ammo bag, give it to the recon guys, you know, have them set up mines and stuff all in the back lines to disrupt the enemy movements. That is the best thing that they can do, is give you intel and cause trouble for them back there. You can set things like defensive objectives on the bases that you already hold, and people can take those for bonus XP, you know, if they just want to build, or if you want certain points held that way, because, you know, some people don't want to sit around to defend. Some people just want to attack because they feel like that's the only way they're getting XP. It's slow to get XP when you're just sitting around at a base, but now you can actually put a defensive point. It's like if a base is getting constantly harassed, you can put a defensive point and say, okay, just hang out here for a while, you get some more XP for guarding it. You know, you can reward your team. That's the best way you can direct people. So the next thing we're going to do is show you the logistics. So the first thing you have to do is go over to the logistics table, which actually skipped over that part, but now I'm on the logistics map, and you have to select each base individually, and you rank them from 1 to 3 on what order you want them to be supplied. And then you set the minimum level of supplies that they need to have. And you have to do that with each base, so it is a little meticulous to get this set up, but once you have it going, you really only need to adjust it as you get more bases built. You might kind of take the bases that are forward most and you might move them up or down in rank depending on how you want your supply line set up. Next thing you have to do is you need some of these logistics bot squads, and I always put maybe like 3 or 4 squads of them at the MOB, you know, somewhere where you don't have to worry about the base getting captured, so you can afford using these guys as logistic crews, and you don't really need bot defenders. So I always put like 4 or 6 squads down at the MOB and just have them sitting around, and then you can send them out as you need them, as certain, you know, some of the other squads get taken out because they will get picked off by other players. They'll run in an AI and they'll get blown up. Sometimes they'll fly off the road and hit something and blow up. Next thing you'll have to do is you'll need a truck for him. I'm going to shut up for a second because I got to reposition this truck. They aren't the best drivers, so I try and help them out a little bit by putting things right next to the road so it's easy for them to just hop in and go. They don't have to drive all the way into the base, so it's kind of important to build your bases next to roads so they can access them. The bots only have to come within about 80 meters, and then they can just kind of teleport the supplies in and out of the points. So you really just need a road to be passing by the base. Next, you got to go to your toolbar on the left. Go all the way down to the bottom where that little Jeep icon is. You hit that, and then that will pull up your logistics squads right there. So you just saw I spawned 4 squads, and it shows all 4 of them right there. It won't show their location, but it'll show what they're up to. So you see Hourglass, they're just sitting around. They don't have a destination. The truck's empty. That's what it means when it's a white box on it. So we're going to select one of the squads. We're going to tell him, you're getting your supplies from Point Gyps. And that's it. Boom. So we already told, logistics. We've only got one base set up right now. We're going to set up another one later on. But we got the main base ranked as #1 priority. And the cap is below how much supplies we have. If we had another base that was ranked 1 and this base was ranked 2, the bots would go to the other base first. And then they would deliver supplies to this base second after they filled up the other base. So then after you do that, you assign your priorities and your supply levels. And you just go to the tent, pull open your little truck tab on the menu. Go down to one of the squads and you tell them where to get supplies from. They get supplies from that base and they deliver it to all your other bases based on how you ranked your supply system. So you don't have to tell them directly where to go, and you can, depending on how you set the levels, you can have them go to only one base. But we're not going to get into tactics and things like that. It is possible, but depending on how you have it set up, they'll just automatically deliver everywhere that they're supposed to, and they'll just grab supplies from where you set. Now, one important thing about these is you do have to be aware of, it seems like they will deliver to the closest base that is ranked the highest from where they are. So you can kind of use that to your advantage. It's real easy for them to get clogged up on each other on these roads. So I try not to have them all sourcing supplies from the same. You don't want too many of these bot squads. They're actually pretty efficient. I mean, having one logistics bot duo squad sourcing supplies from one pier is pretty much all you need, and they'll usually be able to empty it out before the next shipment. If you do more than one, there's a really good chance that they're either going to run into each other and kill one of the other ones, or they're going to get, kind of glitched up trying to get around each other. So if I had another base, I would put maybe 1 point on Gyps, and I might have, one bot squad sourcing supplies from the actual base. And then I might have another squad sourcing supplies from that next pier further up that we haven't captured yet. Oh, blot. But let me show you the very last and final thing you can do as commander. This is probably one of the coolest things. You won't be doing it as often, but it is definitely one of the neatest tricks. It's a little bit harder to show right now because we only have one base, but you go back to the building board, and instead of doing start building, you select operations. And what that does is that'll bring you to the map. Then you select any base on the map, and it puts you on build mode, and then you can spawn everything there, just like you were in Game Master. So you can see right there, even though I was at the building board, you can see very clearly I'm in the command tent, and yet I'm able to spawn a truck. You can see we've got a tab for people there for the AI. You can spawn a BTR helicopter. So it helps to have a commander as a higher rank, because if you're a captain and you're sitting all the way in the MOB and you got a squad and they need a BTR or helicopter to get somewhere, but they're not high enough rank, you can go into operations, you can select that base on the other side of the map, and you can spawn them a BTR, an LAV, a helicopter. You can, once a base gets established and the guys are like, hey, we just dropped off like 4,000 supplies, like, how do you want to build? You can just go to operation, you can go to the base, you can place everything exactly where you want it. You don't have to communicate about how you want it placed, where the defensive fortifications can go. You don't have to place a request. All you have to do is just go to operations, zoom in on the base, click it, and then you can place everything for them and just let them get right to building, which is also another type of objective that they can complete for XP. It just kind of helps expedite everything for the team. That's a big thing for the commander. So I hope this video has helped. I hope you guys use some of these tips to your advantage, and I wish you all the best.